did the rules. Choco Pine Con. Reading the rules, did the rules, did the rules, did the rules. Reading the rules, did the rules, did the rules. They get a boy to pay with himself back up Bethel. He said he could hear voices coming from hell. One of the voice tell him to snatch up the girl named Gretel. Now he a big bowl of the bally in a one jail cell. The rules that he country for, then we yo, Talawala, Pada de Umbre, Sassy Villa, so Sumba, Pisabed and Ginger, and Lord Scrabble, Pine back and bitter wood, Sarah say, and just a touch of sinner, but the main ingredient, and the one Miss Laro in vain, and if you see a man back bent, he just left Miss Laro tell. Greedy the rules, did the rules, did the rules, did the rules. Greedy the rules, did the rules, did the rules. Choco Pine Con. Greedy the rules, did the rules, did the rules, did the rules. Greedy the rules, did the rules, did the rules. You could have tell you from my own experience. We start out in September 1st, getting ready for the 10th. The feeling that come over me was so intense. Me take off all of my clothes and jumps and wrap back fence. Greedy the rules, did the rules, did the rules, did the rules. Greedy the rules, did the rules, did the rules. Choco Pine Con. Greedy the rules, did the rules, did the rules, did the rules. Greedy the rules, did the rules, did the rules. Why wicked?
I tell Choco Pine, you have to drink the roots tonically, the money drink it like water. But you don't really know the formula.
Greedy the rules, did the rules, did the rules, did the rules. Greedy the rules, did the rules, did the rules. Choco Pine Con. Greedy the rules, did the rules, did the rules, did the rules. Greedy the rules, did the rules, did the rules. Me hear the man ball when him catch a rouse. Me hear the man scream, down in a sorrow. Never want to take one about the roots from Miss Laro. The way the boy ball, he could have back up sing off his sparrow. The roots that he country for, then we know. Talawala, Pala de Umbre, Sassy Villa, so Summa, Pisabed and Ginger, and Lord Scrabble, Pine back and bitter wood. But the main ingredient, are the one Miss Laro invent. And if you see a man back bent, he just left Miss Laro tent. Greedy the rules, did the rules, did the rules, did the rules. Greedy the rules, did the rules, did the rules. Choco Pine Con. Greedy the rules, did the rules, did the rules, did the rules. Greedy the rules, did the rules, did the rules. They get a boy to pay with himself back up Bethel. He said he could hear voices coming from hell. One of the voice tell him to snatch up the girl named Gretel. Now he a big bowl of the bally in a one jail cell. The rules that he country for, then we yo, Talawala, Pada de Umbre, Sassy Villa, so Sumba, Pisabed and Ginger, and Lord Scrabble, Pine back and bitter wood, Sarah say, and just a touch of sinner, but the main ingredient, and the one Miss Laro invent. And if you see a man back bent, he just left Miss Laro tent. Greedy the rules, did the rules, did the rules, did the rules. Greedy the rules, did the rules, did the rules. Choco Pine Con. Greedy the rules, did the rules, did the rules, did the rules. Greedy the rules, did the rules, did the rules. You could have tell you from my own experience. Me start out in September 1st, getting ready for the 10th. The feeling that come over me was so intense. Me take off all of my clothes and jumps and wrap back fence. Greedy the rules, did the rules, did the rules, did the...
Big tune, big tune, big tune. Compliments of the celebration season. Welcome to our weekly podcast. We call this one Reid Between the Lines. Through the courtesy of Sea Smoke, facilitated by our good friend up there in New York City, the one and only CY. That tune there, by the way, big tune indeed. Is that a late tune, CY? Certainly you've been dropping a few big ones lately, but you know, something will drop big. Don't worry about it. I'll wait for the Budna tune. Anyway, it is September the 11th. Yesterday was the 10th of September. We discussed a bit about the 10th and the upcoming 44th birthday celebration for Belize, which happens on the 21st of September, of course. And September is a big month, all around. Lots of significant happenings in September. The world is at this point tipsy turvy. I'm telling you, people, we're going to really have to try to figure out how we're going to handle this going forward. Things look gloomy, dread. I mean, if you were anywhere near religion, you would be feeling apocalyptical. Uh, you have to wonder if there was not some kind of um, reality to the scriptures that forbode, that actually um, pretended this kind of situation, because it's tough. It's really bad. The killing of this fellow Kirk, boy, then, but on the same day, you had another school shooting. Not much coverage of that now because they're not even covering them in the news anymore, but they are happening, people, and it's a sad situation because these people aren't connected. They're not in any way related. They're not. There's no kind of networking going on with them. They just random get up and decide, I want to kill some people. I'll tell you, knock on wood, but I believe we're blessed in Belize. We're blessed in a lot of ways. Though we flirt with danger. I see Will Mahia and his crowd is going up to Sarastuna again this week, as they said, this weekend. We know there was a situation in the Sarastun where the Guatemalans supposedly planted a flag on the Sarastun. This little clump of mangrove bushes that's causing all this problem. That one mine kind of complex where we got this have a me. I mean, they not touch this. We got this have a me. I think we have to start to learn how to live together. This is madness, man. First of all, we can't militarily overcome this country. They're 36 times our size. Let me repeat that. 36 times our size. And then we as a people are not as united as we should be. Everybody they fight against everybody else. This is like we don't want kind of hypnosis of the entire world here. Just want to snapshot, if you will, because you got how many ethnic groups you got? We got the Creole, and then they fight because I got boy, we don't want black Creole. No, they tell me I don't want light Creole. And boy, first of all, I'm a man. Then second, I'm a Belizean. After that, it doesn't matter what you are, as long as you have a clean heart and a good conscience. You have a character that's worthy of this world, of involvement in this world. Because if you don't, then you're up on your own. But I really think that as Belizeans, we need to come together more. You have the Mennonites over there, Finencana. You got the Mayan one, Toledo. You got the Garifuna out there in Dangriga. Of course, the Creole is in Belize, and you got the Mestizos up north. Uh, I don't know. East Indians are out there. Middle Easterns are there. We have a melting pot of cultures indeed. And on the surface, things look okay. But underneath, then it's like a swan on a lake where you're seeing a glide along, but underneath the water, a lot of things they go on. This one not like that one. This one got issues. And I really don't know how we going straighten this out. Who's gonna be our Moses here? Who are we gonna listen to? Uh, I don't know. We on this talk show try to touch on the issues, the ones that are trending, no? The pertinent issues of the day. We have no scapegoat. We have no sacred cows. We have no agendas. We're not trying to step on any toes. But if that happens, so be it. Let me say good evening to Aaron. Thanks again for joining us. I see your people looking good there. Show of unity. Is it sure, Sham. I saw Tracy looking exuberant, Shine looking a bit subdued. Um, but they were in the same truck, and the number they have no punch out at one another. However, I saw on post now that it seems Alberto Agas is going after Lee Mark. So Lee Mark on the standard bearer for Mesopotamia. Uh, that one day, but and you know what? Here we are bringing the Brazilian government under pressure, in particular because of this Budna situation. And this Budna thing, the one thing where puzzles me. How can you just push aside everything that this man has done, all the children that he has violated, kidnapping, which ironically enough is what they're saying happened to him. Do so, no like do so. Uh, okay, Aaron Alberto was responding to Lee Mark's initial comments. I didn't see them um, in a nutshell of what him to criticize the party, criticize the leadership of the party. I don't know. Some of these things, Aaron, I think best handled in house, don't you think? Because once you throw it out there, they're gonna blow it up. You're gonna be out of proportion. You're gonna swear that the world is coming to an end when sometimes I'm minorly back and forth between. It happens. It happens in politics for sure. Um, I don't. I think UDP went on the fence to get Lee Mark in there. I know that what I read Alberto August writing is that Lee Mark is collecting lots of money from the PUP for renting out his buildings. That then I will have to say that that looks better on the PUP than it does on the UDP, no? Because it shows that they didn't just like everybody else has been doing, move out of one building when it's time, and then just move in. For them people, or they move the departments out of buildings that were being rented from their cronies and move to buildings of other cronies. So I'm very look who's in the house. I missed that big piano in the background. Uh, Easy, Gregory. How you doing?
Good evening. Good evening. I'm doing well, sir. Thank you
All
very
right,
much.
welcome back. A familiar face, one of the originals. Yeah, Aaron, in house, you're talking about the back and forth with the UDP, Gregory.
Yes.
You might be a little more familiar with this than I am, but I see everybody to go after everybody. Man, what's up?
Look at my shirt I'm wearing.
This is what I'm saying. Well, you see mine, right? I think that blue you can still see it. Uh, yeah. No, but really, I see Alberto Agas and Lee Mark Chan mixing it up with some verbal battling.
Oh, okay. I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah. Apparently, Iran is saying that um, Alberto is responding to something that Lee Mark initially said, which I don't know who he was criticizing, but his response to Lee Mark was that Lee Mark is a traitor because he's collecting all the PUP money for renting out his buildings to that party. And I was saying when you came in that
Well, it's
that
not
looks
PUP,
good.
it's not PUP money, It's not PUP money.
Uh, as long as we understand that UDP money neither when they're in, correct?
It's not UDP money either, and it's not.
Correct. So,
And
yeah, we have to understand that the people's money actually.
it's the people's money.
Um,
Yes. Yes.
yeah, and they play with it loosely. I think
Yes, yes. And
they
we kind of lost the owning public buildings since they disbanded the Public Works Department. Remember, they used to have a lot of government building at one point where all the government offices were staffed. Of course, we have expanded quite a bit, so they would have needed to construct new buildings and stuff for government services. But they seem to have gone away from that, both parties, both the UDP and the PUP, and started um, renting out private spaces, which there's nothing too wrong with that if they're getting
Value for money, no?
for money. Yeah, yeah. As long as they're not overpaying for the space, and it's not just done on either party as a political favor, because
Speaking,
it does cost money to repair and maintain buildings, and we don't have the infrastructure or the service people to do that now since we don't have the public works department. Good
well,
evening,
what
Mr. Lee.
what we do have is somebody who knows a little about that, having been in the belly of the beast for a
Uh-huh.
long time. Welcome to the show, Joe.
Yeah,
Jose.
I was a bit late. I didn't realize it was almost
Yeah,
independence.
I fell asleep. I was Independence Day, no? Uh, yeah, we talk about the comments from Alberto Agas to Lee Mark Chan, where he was criticizing him spending, collecting a lot of PUP money for buildings that he's renting out to them. Um, Greg was suggesting that we've gone away from public buildings that used to be owned by the government and more into renting from private individuals, usually cronies of the party. In this case, it seems an exception. What do you think?
Well, this is a continuation of a lease that was already in place, so it was good that they didn't cancel it just on political grounds. You see what I'm saying? But we do have the big concern: are they getting value for what they're getting? And from
But,
some understanding, I know some people did some analysis of it, and they said it was a 15,000 square foot building, and they were paying, I think, 11,000 or whatever it is. I don't remember the exact amount, and they seem to have thought maybe it was fair. I don't know what the going price for leasing building is, and I don't know what the condition of the building is, and all those things. But I do want to wonder is, and I know there's another big project where they were going to release a building, and then the building was going to be turned back over to the government after 30 years and something like that. I do wonder where we go with this. Is it necessary for us to do have some buildings that are necessary as part of the government infrastructure that they have? And then, of course, for some, you could just go ahead and lease them as they need, because it's for sure the government can't build every building they need. Even in the United States, the government lease. I just finished designing a building for the immigration court, where in the United States they're going to lease this building from private people. So there's nothing totally wrong with that decision to make that kind of decision to lease rather than to own. But we do need to make sure it's balanced.
I yeah. Aaron believes that we should go back to building government buildings and using them as opposed to paying as when you think about $11,000 a month, and that's on a low end because they pay a lot more for some buildings. $11,000 a month, you multiply, you have a 5 year term of government. 5 years at 11,000 a month. That one sizable amount that you could build a building out of that, man.
but
But that's not. Go ahead, Mr. Coy.
gentlemen, this is the kind of discussion I like us to engage in because it's a simple analysis that is needed based on economics. If I want to live by the seaside and I want to live there for the rest of my life and I want my children to live there, and I have the money to put up a building there, why should I want to lease a building or rent a building there? So let's look at government. One, this country has a sparse population, but we have to have administration in every 6 districts. That was a decision made by the British for the purpose of administrating the country. So this country knows, the public sector knows exactly where we want permanent buildings, buildings that is to take us into the future. Now, why is it that I would want to rent a building where I know I will have need for it into the next 40, 50, 60, 70 years? Build it.
Mhm,
Build it.
mhm. Yeah, yeah.
Now, whenever you see governments, and again generic, is beginning to subvert what is simple economic decisions, it is because they are pursuing a patronage system where the supporters of the party will benefit when their party is in to rent them buildings that they will have ready for them.
Mhm.
If we sit now and we take a stock, an inventory right now of all government owned buildings and all government buildings rented. One example quickly, right here in Belize City. Where is our magistrates' court being held? Where?
On Corner Drive, correct? And I think, yeah.
That's right.
Then rent a building for somebody over there.
That's right. That building is being rented, owned by
Mhm.
Chinese. No, sorry for use the ethnicity. I never meant to use it. The point I'm making, we will always have need for magistrates' court. Always. We'll always have need for a Supreme Court. These are the kind of buildings you don't need to rent, you build them. Nobody can convince me, none, and it's impossible to do it. You can't. You can't tell me that if I have a need for a building that I will need into the future, that is cheaper for me to rent. Total nonsense.
But
No
Joe, if
economic sense can teach me, can tell you it is cheaper to rent. It cannot.
listen, if you make a loan and instead of paying rent, you pay the bank note every month, you're gonna come out ahead because at the end of the day you'll own the building. But if you just pay the bank note for somebody else own the building, it makes absolutely no sense to me.
That's what I'm saying. I don't. It's not that. To me, it's not an issue for discussion,
Yeah,
except
yeah.
except for those who don't understand it.
Yes.
But those who know what is happening knows damn well that's a part of a patronage system.
And look, even when they build buildings, look at the Charles Bartlett building on Mahogany Street. What a waste of space. And Greg, I hope you didn't design that building for them. Who,
I
who
know
built
nothing
that?
about it. But I agree with Mr. Cully. If we for courts and some buildings and some needs that we know are permanent and consistent, then we do. But I was thinking more of the buildings that you just see come up because the population is shifting, needs and demands is shifting on a little ways that you're just trying to consolidate and find space, and then eventually the goal should be to build out a space for them. But the point I was making, more importantly, why they had gone to this, they have disbanded the public works department, so they don't have that service group that would normally be able to go in and maintain and repair government buildings. And so they saw it as easier and cheaper and definitely as part of the patronage system to just go out and rent buildings. And so we need to look at it, and government needs to look at it. And it's a program that's been going on across both political parties, and somehow the people needs to start, as they are becoming aware of this, and as we are looking as a public at what the cost is for all these buildings. That someone should accumulate account for all these buildings. They should say this is a rented building, this is a rented building, and then demand from the government what the price is, and start seeing where we could start building. And as you said, coming up and looking at what we're paying in terms of rent and paying somebody else's rent is finding out how we could get these buildings constructed, and then they pay them off as you'd have to pay off a mortgage.
Yeah, we need an accountant. I think we'll find an accountant somewhere that could do something like that.
But I'm a chartered accountant, so let me,
I beg your pardon, sir.
let
Yes,
me
sir.
explain. I was Minister of Works. I worked along with the Inter-American Development Bank as part of the public sector reform for the Ministry of Works. And what we agreed on, internationally it was working. Because we believed that we had enough now contractors in the country who can build roads and who can build buildings. The common sense thing to do then is to remove yourself from doing that kind of work of building buildings and building roads. And what you do now is to build an institution with the competence, and we had a department there with highly qualified civil engineers, because that's what you need then. That needs civil engineers there. Civil engineers, not chemical, civil. And it was that department which the IDB financed for us to develop it with Edgar Puga, and call his name, he was a classmate of mine. That we want to build one strong department with civil engineers who will then be able to do the costing for roads, so that when we go out to bids, to invite bids under the Finance and Reform Act, We will know that we are getting value for money. So we don't need to have a lot of equipment. We don't need to have a lot of workers to build roads as we used to. Who built the hummingbird? The hummingbird was built under the while the British was still here, because we never had contractors out there to build roads. But when we begin to have enough contractors out there to bid, who competent to build roads themselves, there was no need for us to be building roads again. We outsource it.
Yeah, but usually the political cronies don't aren't isn't that correct?
Yeah, no, but
Uh,
then yeah,
who,
but you are not.
who?
No, 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 no. So,
Uh-huh,
sorry, let me see if I could correct that.
uh-huh.
What you must do first is to do what is a good system to get value for your money. That's what you do first.
Put out a bid.
Yeah. Now, if you have a Finance and Audit Reform Act, which is telling you now that when you put out the bid must be given to the, to the bidder who gives you the most value for your money. Now, if you decide that you want to warp the system,
Uh-huh.
you try to cheat the system, and you want to make sure you get it to one of your supporter, then to me, obviously, it defeat and support the whole purpose of good governance. So to
But
me, is that the problem was not the system that we were developing. It was the people who we had to transform their mindset, because some of them were more inclined towards following the Finance and Health Reform Act only to the extent they can cheat it to give it to their cronies.
is that a minority or a majority of them who were doing that? The people that were supposed to be in charge.
My
Uh,
honest opinion, Mr. Chairman and Greg, I sense some change that was taking place after our independence. And again, you had the guy the other day, the professor, who wrote his assessment of the needs. Is that I would say coming to independence and some years after independence, we were doing it right. And the evidence was there by all these expert analysis of the country that the country was making great progress. And then, bam, the 20 years after independence, we gone back way. And why we gone back way? Because we subverted the public sector. We gave up all the good things. And I will say this, not in support of no British, but the truth about it, and I said it on the show before, one good thing the British left for the world was the public sector. So therefore, we benefited from a good public sector, but we subverted.
which party was guilty? UDP or PUP?
I would say the people were guilty.
the
But
people, the people of which party?
I
The
am
one.
saying that both parties, and please, I'm not here now I'm not interested in the partisan politics per se.
No worry about hurt Greg's feelings. He could handle it.
No, I think that within the PUP, the UDP, the NIP, and everyone in them, there were a lot of good people. So not fool we said the only PUP will good because I'm a PUP. And the only the UDP will be good because I'm a UDP. The truth about it, I have known those who came from the NIP who were damn patriotic, damn good citizens, damn good public officers of this country. So to me, I am no longer looking at your first to say, boy, you don't want PUP. So why me did you become me the PUP? No, 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 man. That's
Now,
immaturity. That's backward thinking, my brother.
speaking about that, make we look upon the 10th. Okay, yesterday was the 10th of September,
That's the
and and and
It-
and we'll touch upon this later on. Because today is also September the 11th, which is the anniversary of the World Trade Center bombings, no, or whatever happened there.
yeah.
But no, is the 10th because yesterday I saw a little promise. I saw a flicker of life from what I thought was a dying matter. Um, the tent was alive yesterday. You see some of the images, Greg? Did you
Yes, yes, I saw some of the images. I didn't get a chance to look at too much of it, but I did see some of the gathering, and it seems like it had good attendance. I
yeah,
I even saw your buddy Shine Barrow on the float with
boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, the talk politics now for real.
No,
Um,
no, that's beside it. But I'm just saying. So I thought everybody came together and was supported. I did not see, and I wasn't sure if the People's United Party, the PUP, had a parade. or was it just one single parade that
It
they
look
had
it look
throughout the 10th?
what I saw was one parade.
Okay.
And I'm thinking that it's interesting because normally under a UDP government, you'll have a bigger tent than a 21st, because you know they kind of like divided along those two holidays, which is
Mhm.
unfortunate because it should be one season of celebration. But I found it interesting that under this PUP government, that the parade was lively and bigger than usual. So
Okay. Okay.
is that a sign of the times? Is there something there that maybe a little warning to the
Yeah.
PUP that they have to be careful there?
Well, I did see some of the procession and the parade at the Memorial Park. I think that's where they had it, or was it at the Governor House? I wasn't quite sure. I know it was by a seashore.
I think them. I know them close off the Memorial Park.
Okay.
I
Okay.
don't know. I didn't see the beginning of it. So
Okay, okay. I
honestly,
saw a gathering with
No,
Coast Guard and different type of government and military services people
okay.
making some type of a procession and some type of I don't know if they paraded through the street or it was just an event at the park, but that
no.
seemed to have been well established and well. I said when I saw it, I said I gave hats off to the government for that support of it and recognition. It was a little disappointing, I believe, that the Prime Minister himself was out of the country on the commemoration of the 10th of September. So that was a little bit of disappointing. I know he had some other hot cakes going, but that was a little bit of disappointment on my part that he was not in
Yeah,
the
what
country.
actually happened, Greg, was that the official ceremonies took place at the House of Culture. So,
Okay, okay, that's where they were then.
and then the two speakers, main speaker was the mayor of the
Mr.
city,
Lin,
which
the,
of course the deputy mayor sat in for him because he wasn't here. And
okay,
then Minister Francis Fonseca, who
yes,
headed the September Celebrations Committee, was
yes,
also a speaker.
yes.
And those were the two main speakers, apart from the official ceremonies with the Governor General and
So the mayor now the prime minister were here.
yeah,
Yeah,
right. But they were
yeah,
not at the ceremony,
I see.
right?
All right.
Those were the two main speakers, and from there, after that ceremony finished, they paraded from there, coming down Albert Street, came around into Albert Street, and they went to the Memorial Park,
Okay,
and that's where the festivities and the
Oh, they ended at the Memorial Park. I
yeah,
see.
that's where, yeah,
Yeah.
that's where the fest
I
building
was.
was
It was
situated.
funny because I passed the Memorial Park quite early, about 6:30 in the morning, and they had already locked it down and barricaded off everything, and they weren't even letting you in to go down by way of Fort George is. So I thought they were going to have the opening ceremonies there, but if they just finished there, I don't see what I mean the reason for them just locking it off, no, so early. But
Uh,
it's I I would just say then that the tent is still alive and the spirit of the BMN. Uh, uh,
well, it needs to be. It is the genesis of our country. It is the foundational cornerstone of how Belize came into being. It is from that that we could find ourselves organized to celebrate the 21st. Otherwise, Belize would not exist as a nation if we did not have the 10th of September as that point where we were able to stand up as both slave, daymen, freed black people, white people, and defend the settlement that
how do you respond to people who suggest that maybe he should have had independence on the 10th of September?
I think it's fine to have them separated. I just think we need to pay due respect to the 10th as that foundational day that brought us into what we call our sovereignty. So I don't have a problem with the 21st being or any other day being the day that we had independence, and the 21st is just as good as any other day. I would say. I
How do you
think some people said the prime minister at the time chose it for some specific reasons. I don't know what those are. I don't think he ever revealed those to anyone. So that's his
Yeah,
secret.
I have thoughts on that. What? How do you respond to? to the skeptics who suggest that, well, the battle was a myth. What they're celebrating is just a story made up. Are you pretty much
Well,
convinced that something did occur and something
something
significant?
happened, and you know, every story of a battle has some mythology with it. So I have no problem with that. We know the guy couldn't have actually gone out there with coconut boy stick and defeated even cannon or even muskets or anything of that sort. But we know that something happened. We know that there was a fight. We know that they fought for almost 7 days or gathered for almost 7 days and was looking down each other's eye, you know, and
You know,
and and that there was some hostility and some cannons were fired, and I think some people even died in it, even though we don't record it as any of the on the side of the British died. But I think there were indication that some Spaniards was buried in at St. George's Key. Um, so we know something happened. We know that there was a fighting. We know that in the end, the Spaniards realized that the challenge was great. And you know, sometime in war, it's just to let the other person know that they're not going to be taking you. They're not going to have the advantage over you and ultimately win. And that is enough to make them back off and to go away. And that seems to be what happened. The challenge of going through the reef, the challenge of knowing that Belize was the city itself, the country itself was very hostile to living there, was enough for them to decide, you know, this fight is not worth it. We're going to take off, and we fired a few and we did our best, and we'll leave these people alone. And that's how.
I, as one who I sincerely believe, I guess there was Sam to say, is Belize teaching the Battle of St. George's Keys in schools at the primary level? I don't even think they are. I was getting ready to say that I believe that Belize is blessed. I really believe. I believe there's a God. I believe Belize is blessed. And if you can believe, well, that Jericho walls fell down, and some of the other biblical stories, then it's not far fetched that maybe something did occur miraculous there. We of course we knew our water as well. And I believe that something might have happened. Um,
Well, you know, if you look at the accounts of both the Spanish and the British and even the local people records of what happened, something happened, not just something happened, a battle happened. A battle that resulted in the Spaniards deciding that they were not going to engage any further, or they're not going to engage at that moment um, in trying to defend their claim. And that gave us the claim. So
how, with that, look what the cat dragged in. And speaking of the St. George's Key, just representing the people that got their ass but whipped.
Who get
Jerry,
their ass whipped?
Jerry Spoon.
he's a
Who
Spaniard.
get
He's
their
a
ass whipped,
Spaniard.
man? We whopped them bally over there, want you?
uh,
Huh? They never came back again. They never came back again. I went
Well,
out to celebrate the ceremony yesterday. They have a committee out there, the
was
St.
it that
George's
was
Tea
it that was the
Committee.
ceremony was at the House of Culture, right?
no, he
Well,
went
they
to
had
St.
another
George's
one.
Key.
They're
Oh,
out
he
at
went all
St.
the way to
George's
St.
Key.
George's Key. Okay,
Yes,
okay.
I said the white boys ain't do it, boy. They don't play it.
Yeah, no, we not joke. We gonna Guatemala kidnap a few of them, bring them to St.
Did
George's
you get
Key.
Bugner with you?
Bogner arranged the whole thing for we.
Is it Bugner or Budner?
Well, Bogner, I don't know, but I think he talked to
Bugger.
Ozada how for do it, you know.
Boy, I don't know. Greg, what do you think about the Budner incident, man? How you before we get back to the 21st thing?
Well,
Well,
you know, I
Hi,
to
Gregory.
say that that's a repugnant individual. If everything they say he has done is a fact, we know that he was convicted for some offenses in Guatemala, and so for that he seems to be guilty, and he was sentenced accordingly. He managed to escape and get into Belize. And since we did not have a extradition treaty, and since Guatemala didn't even ask for him in any regards.
Well, I
Um,
don't know that he didn't understand there was an Interpol warrant out for his arrest.
Interpol is different. Interpol, you just file a document with the to say that you have an escape. For every escape person, I think that there's that sort of situation. They put them on Interpol. So if you had traveled to the United States or some other place
Well, he
outside of
traveled to Belize.
no, but we don't have an extradition treaty. But if he had traveled to some other country that had extradition and relationship with Guatemala, then that warrant would have been valid. In Belize, it's not valid because the country doesn't have a extradition treaty. So that was in case he had gone some other place. So
But
I
you
don't have
know,
a problem with that.
my
The problem I have, let me just finish this point. The problem I
yeah.
have is the way he was removed
Well,
from Belize.
I hear that a lot. I hear that a lot. That's basically what everybody's saying. But they're trying to remove Budna from this situation. I don't know that you can do that. I believe that, in my opinion, I believe that Belize was 6 years late in doing that. Because once they realized that this man had escaped, and the fella that he was, he had done 10 years in Belize, or 8 out of 10, he was released sometime in 2008. And I don't remember what happened in 2008. It might have been a change of government or something like that. So maybe the government that came in then was favorable to him. I don't know. But
Can I interject for
I
a
don't think
second?
so.
Just for 1 second
yeah,
I don't have a problem.
extradition. I just Googled AI. The OAS organization confirms that Belize has negotiated bilateral extradition treaties with the U.S., Mexico, and Guatemala.
okay.
Yeah.
So we
So we
do
do
have an
have a treaty.
extradition.
Well, our government says we do not. So I'll take off.
Okay.
When did they say that?
I don't know.
I don't know that we're even asked. They weren't
We
even
don't have
asked that question, Greg. I don't know. People are saying that, and I've heard it repeated. But now Spooner with some check has assured us that we do
Well,
have an extradition.
then both governments should have followed the proper procedure. The problem we have
But,
is the improper
but, but,
manner
but,
in which they
Yes, but
kidnap
this may
him
not be a
about.
sanctioned kidnapping or abduction. That's why we have to
Well,
wait till we get the
it
final
doesn't.
report.
Yeah,
We
yeah. I'm
it
not
could be
saying that the
rogue cops.
government did it at this point, Mr. Spooner.
It could
I'm
be rogue
saying,
cops, though. It could be rogue policemen.
um,
well,
Gentlemen,
I don't think they would act so unilaterally on their own. I think there was some orders given to
I
them
don't know.
somewhere.
yeah, I don't know either.
why is it that we keep missing the most important thing about the Buddha issue? And I think Mr. Morrison brought it up. The Buddha issue is not about whether Buddha is a fugitive, whether Buddha is a criminal,
No, he's
whether
gone
Buddha
past
is
that.
the base person. The issue is whether we had followed due process, whether we had followed the rule of law in this country. That is the issue that all the sober-minded Belizeans are talking about seriously. None of the worry, yes, Buddha may have been a fugitive from Guatemalan jurisdiction. No. How was he to be returned to Guatemala? How was he to be
and
returned?
how long was it to take?
Huh?
How long was it to take?
If you take AI, it doesn't matter. It's
No,
about,
it took more than 6, and it does matter. It does matter, Joe.
Chairman, I shouldn't say that it doesn't matter. The point I am trying to get us to focus on,
Uh-huh.
if we do not believe in a constitution as the supreme law of the land that is grounded in the rule of law, then
Joe,
we are making
I,
a serious mistake.
I,
I don't, I am not here to try to characterize Budna in terms
yeah.
of his criminal behavior because I think everybody will agree that he was damn a problem. The point is, however much of a problem you are, that does not mean that you are not to be subjected to the rule of law in this country.
You
But I
know,
think we have reached that, Mr. Cowie. I think we've reached that point now. We have reached that now. We understand that. Everybody states that, yes, he's a despicable person, but he's entitled to due process. I think
But
we
the
have
police,
reached
of
that
all
point.
people, the police should have known that.
Well, hold on, let me
Well,
correct
that's
that.
why we want to know if it's a rogue cops. Were they
It
rogue
doesn't
cops
matter
that
if
did
it's
this?
rogue cops. It
But
doesn't
Mr.
matter if it's
Spooner,
rogue cops. A
Mr.
cop
Morrison,
why doesn't it matter? You
Because
know,
a police officer is always a police officer.
oh
Why
man,
they have that?
you
This
can't
is
know. No,
Belize. This is a Belize.
But,
no, no, no.
but
It
then,
doesn't
They,
work that way.
but then
they were given rules that one police officer picked
Now,
up a gun.
was it under the directive of the department? Was it
Mr.
under? Was it a government
We don't know that
initiative?
yet. We don't know
Well,
that
that's
yet.
what I'm
And I'm
saying.
hoping
So,
we do.
Chairman,
I'm
but
hoping
all
we
of
do.
us are going as if
Mr.
we know
Chairman,
that.
but
Yes, sir.
what is obvious to all of us, why is it that the Prime Minister gave leave of absence to the Commissioner? Why?
Why? I don't know to respond to the public outcry. The people.
No,
I
no,
think you overreacted. I
no,
wouldn't have done that.
that is
Adam say, you know what? The man are
no,
fugitive on the law. He is where he belongs to be.
no. That's not the reason.
Why? He's been arrogant in more
Mr.
less severe
Chairman,
cases than
you
this.
cannot take the law and interpret it to suit what you want. The law is the law.
Ah man, we holler upon the law whenever it suits us.
But
You know me. You
no,
know
no,
when
no.
the laws are broken on a regular basis, and we,
I will not
is
support.
this at the hill we die upon? Is
That.
this a hill we die upon?
I am saying to you, Mr. Chairman, in due respect to you, I am asking you, begging you, do not ignore the importance of the rule of law in our free and democratic society. Do not do it.
And I mean no, I mean to do
Hold on,
it.
I can finish. The Prime Minister, if he acted from the pressure coming from the people, that is what democracy is about.
I don't think so. Why you let him as prime minister to lead,
No,
not
no,
to follow?
I am saying to you, Mr.
But
Chairman,
no, the prime minister has
when the
to.
Prime Minister acted, and if it's because of the pressure coming from the people, that is democracy.
That's what you call accountable.
That's right.
Listen, when you say the people, look, the people are pretty much split on this. You know, I don't know what percentage of the people. Many are saying yes. We have to follow proper procedure. About procedure. This is not about the end result. This is a procedure. But some people are saying the man have a vile character and is exactly where he ought to be, serving the time for crimes that he was convicted of.
But there's a proper way to have done that.
You know, but that proper way works for regular citizens.
No,
Right?
no.
Putnam was not a regular citizen.
That's
No,
the
there's
problem.
no,
Do you lose no rights once you're convicted of a crime?
there's no such thing as a regular citizen. Where you get that from?
There's no such thing as a regular citizen.
No,
Yeah, explain that to me, Joe.
because all citizens of this country have the same rights. There is no some regular, some irregular, and some above the rest. The law is the law. None of us should be above it.
But then I don't want him to talk about white privilege no more, because I have equal rights. I call out no. All right, I don't want him about privilege rights. If I get off or something, the law will deal with me just as they deal with all of them.
It should. It should.
Let's call.
I don't think we should take this.
Let's
I think we
call
should be realizing an important thing like the rule of law in a democratic society. No, we should not.
You know, we're so quick to holler about la when it's convenient to us, or when it's on the side of something that we want to see done.
Mr. Chairman,
No.
are you saying that a democratic society grounded with the intent of justice and peace will use the law conveniently only when the law suits them, then you won't have it? No.
It happens a lot. It does happen
I
a
am
lot.
not care if it happened 1,000 times. That doesn't make it right.
All right. So the time, and this is the time when you make sure you make it right. Forget the other times when you do all the skullduggery.
Name me which time they did this skullduggery. Name me.
Boy, I can't bring none. You catch me off guard. I can tell you. Give me time to research that and give you a list of them.
All right, good. John, give me a list of them. And when you give me the when you give me the list, let's say the list comes up to 100. That still does not make it right.
You see what I'm saying? So you can't move the goalpost from like that.
No. You didn't move the goalpost. That big. You want to move the goalpost to suit your own personal views. We cannot do that.
Let me tell you. You know what? I really believe that there are times when authority needs to be stern, and I believe also that those three police officers, my defense would be, well, you know what? After 6 years, we never do something that was supposed to have done. We take it into our own hands and do it then. Because that man, so the people that he kidnapped in Guatemala deserve their justice just like every other citizen in any part of the world.
The chairman, you made a dialectical error just now in what you said. Never say that there are times when they have to be stern. No, there's no such thing as times when you have to be stern. You must uphold the rule of law under all circumstances.
You know, and let me explain.
How come politicians don't follow the rule of law?
Mr. Spooner, let me now address you from that position. If the politicians are not following the rule of law, does that make it right or wrong?
Makes it wrong.
That's right.
Yeah.
So then what? That's right is wrong. That's right is wrong. I like the song of that.
Deal with them.
Deal with who?
The politicians.
When has that ever happened, Joe?
You know why it's not happening?
Uh-huh.
Because of the behavior we are displaying right now.
Yeah.
We should be standing up for the rule of law and not to suggest that there are times when it needs to be stern and times when it isn't. And when we stand for it, don't allow partisan politics to influence our thinking.
I think this the Buddha situation. I want poor case of what you hold up as how we're going to determine our morality and adherence to laws.
But it's not
This man. Well, it has to be up. You cannot remove Buddha from this equation. You cannot remove him.
The policy and the framework of what we are defending is not Buddha. It's the policy of law, whether the police have the right to go and remove a citizen from the country and transport them to another country where they are needed, where they escape without due process.
Let me say this again.
Let me just finish this point.
But finish it.
Yeah, if they had, if whatever reason we don't have an extradition treaty or anything, but they have gone and said to Guatemala, send us an extradition treaty and we'll return Mr. Budna to you, outside of everything else. And they go through the process of getting a judge to then do it and then give Mr. Budna his right to go and defend that writ. And the judge ruled that Mr. Budna, you need to go and complete your sentence in Guatemala, then that's it. They could have done it that way. I don't know with that.
In a perfect society, that would be wonderful. We don't live in that kind of society, and you're not going to convince me of that. I am. Listen. There's never one case I know where the police just went and I'll use this term again for you, Joe. Ordinary citizen. When I say that, I mean a law-abiding citizen. It just doesn't happen. We don't have that kind of system in Belize. They don't do that. And not tell me about no slippery slope. I kind of could do it later on if they do it now. They're not gonna do it. They're not doing it to anybody who is not a convict, an escaped convict. And the fact that he escaped from Guatemala after serving 10 years in Belize for a very severe. If they had done this 6 years ago and returned Budna when they found out he was a fugitive living in Belize, instead we harbored him. And you know what happened? A 16-year-old child was. Let me finish my point. A 16-year-old child was killed in the house where he was, and we still have not declared details of what happened there.
No, I agree with you. Nobody's defending, or I'm not defending.
Nobody is condoning the wrong that Budna did.
Yeah.
Don't come with this kind of attitude that give him a fair trial but hang in the morning. That doesn't make sense. That is not the rule of law, Mr. Chairman.
That's a good idea, though.
No, it's a good idea for those who do not believe in the rule of law.
Yeah, we need G. Michael as Commissioner of Police.
No, you don't want that. No,
G. Michael as the Prime Minister of the country.
Oh my God!
Salvador.
You dress me in borrowed robes. I don't know that I can wear them kind of clothes there. No, but I think that this whole Budna thing is much ado about nothing. We're ready for bringing down the government. We want to fire the commissioner of police. And that just agendas at work, I feel. That just people who have been harboring these feelings for a long time. And now
you want a commissioner of police that is part of kidnapping citizens?
But how do you know that?
No, I'm asking that as a general question. Do you want a commissioner of police that is responsible for. I'm not saying he is. We don't know the evidence of what this case is.
So then why would I? That the point is irrelevant then. What
No, it's not
I
irrelevant, but
would
a
want I
jury
want a
question.
I would want a commissioner of police that abides by the law. Yes.
But
I,
Mr. Chairman, can I ask you this question again? And I asked it just now. Why is it that the Prime Minister gave leave of absence, other leave of absence for the commissioner? And he said that because the investigation was incomplete. Why did he do that?
Joe, that question I can't answer. You'd have to ask the prime minister that.
Well, he said, no, but
Maybe he's trying to
he
deflect.
he said it.
Maybe to throw the man under the bus. Do you ever think about that?
Possible. But you know why? If he threw under the bus, why he did it? Because of
Because
the
he
pressure
sees
that
something
he-
that's
the
not
pressure.
appropriate.
No, pressure is one thing. Pressure, you can have pressure that's real pressure and pressure that you perceive as pressure and
Yeah,
respond to that pressure.
Yeah, but don't try to make me look at the various type of pressure. One, all the trade unions came out against it. All the media houses came out against it. All of them begin to demand a proper investigation. Then the Prime Minister came out and said that he is giving
When
leave
you
of absence.
when you say, let's be real, Krim and Channel 7, they both went out on the limb
Oh, Mr.
and, and,
Chairman.
and makes me quite curious as to why.
Oh, Mr. Chairman, you didn't hear the news? All the trade unions came out. The churches came out. A lot of groups came out against it. That was a fact. And I must say this. Yes, Jews might be said to be whatever we want to think of him partisan-wise. But I think it was he who kept up the pressure.
Yeah,
Otherwise,
but why? I wonder why.
well, to me, if his motive is simply because he's an anti-PUP, then fine, that's not a good motive. But the end result was good.
I think even more than that. But I don't think the end result was good. When you want to carry through a whole lot of legal wrangling
No, no.
for this man that was guilty of kidnapping, kidnapping are the very thing where he accused the police of doing to him. Isn't that Dusso not like Dusso?
Let's talk about this sort of like this. So I am saying to you, Mr. Chairman, that Jews' argument was based that they had violated his rights. No,
God.
now hold on. If you believe that Jews were motivated by partisan politics, I would not argue that.
No, I more believe that Budden had no rights to violate.
No.
He was a convicted criminal. Why,
So
when you're a convicted criminal, there are some rights you lose.
Of course you do.
All right, one to your freedom.
But Mr. Chairman, if you are a convicted criminal and you are incarcerated in a prison in this country, do you believe that you have lost all your rights? You don't.
You lose. Well, a certain human rights that I imagine, but the rights as a citizen, you lose.
Yeah, but look at the Constitution. The Constitution spells out clearly when those rights will be delimited. And it tell you one of them is if you have violated the law and you are incarcerated. If you are incarcerated, it was because of your convictions, your rights have to be limited. But it doesn't take away all your rights. They cannot.
Well, that argument don't make no sense. And I can't list the rights that you will lose and won't lose.
It should not be an argument. It's not an argument. It's not an argument. It's a fact. It's a fact that if a person is incarcerated, that doesn't mean the person lose all the rights. Like go beat her every morning, you go starve her, you go after your family members, you go do all kind of things. No.
Do you admit that does
a prisoner, Mr. Chairman, in this country, any democrat, you they talk about in them countries like where Putin and then dictators them, man. But it's not supposed to go down that road. Where because you have violated other people's rights, you're going to court and convict you and sentence you. That doesn't mean all your rights gone. Your rights are restricted. That's a fact.
I think I'm moot argument because I don't see anybody being picked up on it, and this is a fear mongering, man. You want to use this now for get people. The policemen come pick on up for no that and the 13th Amendment, and I think this is what this is all about because people are now afraid that this is what the 13th Amendment will be like.
Mr. Chairman,
I don't think so.
You bring up another good point. Now let me take up the 13th Amendment. For the very reason you are bringing it up.
It makes you be more careful.
Why many people are opposed to it, which is not the reason why I oppose it, is because that then the police will abuse your rights. Why? Because the court, in a 76-page judgment, outlined clearly where that state of emergency in itself would have been okay. But they violated their rights in that same state of emergency. That's why they lost their case. The government have to pay them.
Now tell me something now, because I've heard the police say that it does not mean they're not going to go to court. They're not going to lock them up without taking them to court, because they will be afforded a fair trial. But who will be picked up are known criminals, people who are known to be out there creating mischief. Are you going to say that you're going to tie the hands of the police, or give them basket for backwater?
No,
Eh,
no, no.
You will give them no authority to do their work?
No, no, no. What it is doing, Mr. Chairman, the fact is that a state of emergency delimits rights of citizens generally in the zone where it's declared. It delimits all the rights. But it is doing it because the Constitution believes in the state, that Section 19, is saying we must do it to protect our rights.
Mhm.
That's why you're doing it. You want to
Okay.
limit the rights to protect our rights.
Okay.
So all that is saying that those people who, you're not just going to pick up people because this one said the body, that one gang member, and that one said that. That's not by every so.
Right.
You still have to pick up unreasonable suspicion. You can't just arbitrarily go and grab her.
Well, basically, they're saying that would be happening now. You don't believe them if you.
Mr. Chairman, we need to look keenly. Policemen themselves and we ourselves tend to profile people in this country. You see the little black boy out there. Sorry if I said little black boy. You see the person out there. He don't dress so nice. He don't look up in a nice white shirt and one coat. Your profiler. If you know something, he look like
We are profile. We
Right.
do. We,
Right, we are profiling. But I am saying the problem, if you read the judgment, the 76-page judgment, to me that was a well-grounded, sound judgment. He is not saying that you should not have a state of emergency as contemplated by the Constitution.
Yes.
But you cannot have a state of emergency for dealing with crimes because it is not what you need it for. The Constitution never contemplated.
Is it that it's not what is needed for it, that you don't think crimes are serious enough to warrant some kind of special measure by the law enforcers?
No. If you read the
Not
Constitution, the
constitutional.
Constitution is saying that you will declare a state of emergency in circumstances that is in fact demobilizing the society through, for example, natural causes, a hurricane. Well, we don't got tornadoes, we don't got earthquakes, but all of them he mentioned. Then he mentioned cases of infectious disease like COVID. That is when you are to deny or limit your rights for those purposes. And the only time the Constitution refers to a person or group of persons is where a person or a group of persons has organized to destabilize the society. You can't go to the pharmacy. You can't go to the grocery shops. You can't go to church. You can't go to school. You can't hold court. It is in those circumstances you declare a state of emergency.
Well, I wanted to say nobody is opposed to giving police the right to arrest people and gang members. I think that is covered right now within our constitution.
That's right.
And the police have that power whenever
right.
they want. What we don't want is to give police expanded power of arrest without having those individuals brought to a court within a reasonable period of time. Right now, I think it's 76 hours. And they're trying to hold.
I think at 48 actually.
Okay, and they're trying to hold people now for 3 months, 6 months, in incarcerate them without bringing them to face a judge. That cannot be right. That would not sit well with anyone, because anyone can really be caught up in that if someone wants to hold something against them.
Section 19 says, when a person is detained by virtue of a law that authorizes the taking during a period of public emergency of measures that are reasonably justifiable for the purpose of dealing with the situation that exists in Belize during that under emergency period, the following provisions shall apply. Now, he shall, with reasonable promptitude, and in any case not more than 7 days of the commencement of his detention, be informed in the language that he understands upon which he is detained, and furnished with a written statement in English. Not more than 14 days after the commencement of his detention, notification shall be published in the Gazette stating that he has been detained and giving particulars of the provision of law under which his detention is authorized. This is under a state of emergency now. That seems to me that they're not taking away all the rights as we're saying. I mean, I think we're fearmongering.
Now, Mr. Chairman, again, you use a word just now which is not right. You said it's not taking away all their rights. Of course, it is not. That constitution is not saying you must take away all their rights. It said you're going to delimit. In other words, you don't use the word delimit, but they're going to delimit your rights. But you don't take away all your rights.
But you know,
nobody in our democratic society, don't care what wrong, if they are to be executed, if they are to be hanged, you cannot take away all of their rights. Because
that specific rights that I mean, obvious.
Yes. So you will have to give up. Once you are convicted of a crime, your rights will be delimited.
So that's what I'm talking about with Budna.
But not all your rights.
That's right. Well, I'm not saying all your rights, but your rights to live free among the rest of the right to live free amongst us in this society has to be limited if you commit such crimes like kidnapping or buggering of children. Don't you think?
Mr. Chairman, you read the Constitution just now, which I think was very good. Then you could read another section, I think it might be 20. What the Constitution is saying, Mr. Chairman, is that in a state of emergency, there has to be reasonable suspicion. I can't just go and profile you.
But that is what that is what I understand would happen anyway.
What?
They're not gonna just go and pick up anybody based on, if there's a murder and there are people who are suspected of it, yes, they will pick them up then.
Mr. Chairman, the case, the judgment, the 76-page judgment is saying that's exactly what the police did. They violated their rights. They should not have gone and just picked them up like that. They had.
But you know, all right, and now argument that is, I've grown wary of that argument also because I am hoping I don't hear it from our police people. I don't hear it from the government. I don't hear that kind of authoritarian mood. And that tone that will suggest that they will just be grabbing people and putting them in jail for maybe a political point of view or some other statement that they make that they don't agree with. I don't see that. I don't hear that happening. Well, and I don't see the people of Belize allowing that to happen.
That is not happening. That is not what is happening, Mr. Chairman.
But that is what we're being told will happen.
Let me ask you a question.
That is what we're afraid of. Yeah, go ahead.
Who did it say? Who did it say?
All of us are saying that on this panel.
He didn't say that.
You're saying it. Yes.
No, I am not saying that.
Do you think the grabbing?
Greg is saying it.
No, I'm not saying that. But do you think the kidnapping of Budna and transporting him to Guatemala is signs and groundwork for an authoritarian type of system?
No.
You don't?
No. Budna was a convicted criminal on a very serious crime. He deserves to be in jail. He should not be running, flaunting, pushing his butt in all over face. All right, look for me, you can't touch me like a damn peacock. No, he escaped from jail over there. I mean, and come, we hail him as a hero, and look at the whole country now. Everybody's.
Nobody. I don't hear nobody call Budna a hero. Mr. Chairman, I don't hear nobody say that Budna is a hero.
You know what helped Budna's case immeasurably? The fact that he take with a key from a drunk driver. Had he not done that, because before that he was despised. Even the people I was entertained. In fact, I recommended that, suggested at one time that maybe one of the media houses should give him a job because he's flamboyant. He make you laugh. He maybe even likable. But at the end of the day, he was a criminal, a terrible criminal, convicted criminal, and he should do his time.
But Mr. Chairman,
We should not harbor him
let
because
me,
we're harboring a criminal.
yeah, maybe follow this dialectically if I can with what you said just now. Everything you say is true. That he is a convicted criminal, he's a despicable character, and all this is true. The thing I do not agree with you with is that you cannot take away all his rights. Just
Okay.
that's all.
Okay.
And you
Okay.
could, and in Belize, you could not have taken away any of his rights because in Belize he was not under any sanction of law as a citizen. So he had his
But
full
but
rights.
it seems so archaic. I mean, that way you could just run once you jump the border, you're okay. I don't think things work like that in the world anymore.
It does. It
Mr.
does.
Chairman, again, let me please allow me to speak. I'm sorry I had to push too much. He was a fugitive from a jurisdiction across the border of Guatemala. He fled from there. And he came to Belize, which is his fatherland, let's call it that. Now, how do we should not condone Buddha and shelter him in Belize because we have differences in Guatemala? No.
Right.
No. What we ask ourselves, what should have been the process for Buddha to be taken back to Guatemala? That is the issue.
Well, listen to me, and it was simple. We knew, Belize knew of Budna's shenanigans. We knew what was happening. We knew he was convicted. He got 2 separate terms for kidnapping. We knew all of that. Once he surfaced in Belize, and we knew that he escaped. So that meant one thing where us, all of us, even the officials and the regular people, knew Budna escaped from prison, and he started doing lives. In fact, you don't know, no, they don't even refer to him as a fugitive from the law. He's a freelance journalist. Ah, how respectable.
Mr. Chairman, if Mr. Buddha was a priest and become a vagabond and a criminal, that doesn't mean that he wasn't a priest. It's just that he was a bad priest. All I am asking us to look at,
I'm not getting that point though.
the point is that we can come back to a very important issue, which I believe we're coming back to. The importance of 1798 and 1981. And it is then, I think, in that discussion, we will get a better understanding of why is it that we should be so adamant and forceful in upholding that constitution, the supreme law of the land, that is in fact giving the rule of law,
Joe,
justice for all.
is
That's
there
what-
is there anything in the Constitution that refers to an incident like this where an escaped prisoner comes to Belize and roams freely? I mean, and just
So
there's no penalty, no.
The constitution is
deals with
addressed.
broad parameters, not with individual case law.
Yeah, the constitution is quite clear.
You know, I am not. I've listened to you. I've listened to a lot of arguments out there. I've been engaged in many. I have not seen a solid point now to let me think that we did anything wrong in returning Budna to Guatemala to serve his sentence. And if I'm wrong, then I'm gonna have to stick with
But
that.
could you repeat what you said for me because I missed? You said that you have not heard a solid argument.
Correct.
For what?
For us not returning Budna to serve his time for the
But to
crimes that he
me-
committed.
But I agree with you 100%. I agree with you.
So why 6 years later we're now having discussion?
No, I am saying
It's how he was returned.
that there is no solid grounds for the way he was taken from here. That's the
But
point.
how long do we wait for those solid grounds?
As the Prime Minister, he was the one who has decided to suspend the Commissioner of Police. And not tell me to do it because
So you're going to tell me that the suspension of the commissioner of police then proves your point that
No.
that he shouldn't have been removed. Is that it?
no, it has.
So what does that have to do with
it hasn't
anything?
proven my point, but
He was removed legally.
it begins to give credence to the belief that something went wrong when you, Mr. Chairman, remember now, the Commissioner of Police comes under Section 90 something, where certain heads of departments and certain public officers are political appointments, and the commissioner is a political appointment. And therefore, once you're a political appointment, of course, those who appoint you can disappoint you. Now, when the Prime Minister reaches the point, after all the outcry, made the decision that the commissioner should be given, your commissioner of police is to be given leave of absence. And it is, we must done simple, turn our eye to that. No man, something must be, when the Prime Minister of a country can give leave of absence, which he can do under the Constitution, to a commissioner of police, isn't that suggestive that something could be wrong? You know me, when the trial comes to end, it could very well mean that the commissioner was innocent.
Right.
But from the fact that you were arrested, mean your innocence is a presumption that remains with you. So the commissioner of police is still presumed to be innocent. But from the fact that he had to be given leave of absence, there is evidence of suspicion.
Well, see, when you drop that thing there, you run past it, he did not have to be given a leave of absence. It was a choice by the Prime Minister. He might have been overreacting. I think he acted.
It doesn't seem
Hold
like
on,
a gentleman.
Mr. Chairman. Let me follow up on that. You are saying that the Prime Minister's decision to give him leave of absence to allow an investigation. What was it you said about that just now?
Overreacting.
Overreacting. That's what you're saying.
There's a possibility.
All right.
Are you saying there's no possibility of that?
Is there a possibility that the commissioner may be guilty?
But there is a possibility. Anything is possible.
Yeah, but the possibility doesn't make him guilty.
Is it possible that he could not have been guilty?
That the Prime Minister may have given leave of absence.
Joe, but this argument get ridiculous. So maybe just.
Oh, I think it's an argument that we should not want to carry on.
Yeah, but we can't. We don't seem to be getting anywhere with it, and that's what I'm saying. We're going around in circles, and I don't like that kind of argument there because we could stay out there, and but when you are saying just because he gave him a leave of absence does not mean he's guilty or he's not guilty, and that's an obvious fact.
I think what Mr. Coy is saying, it was an extreme measure for him to make that decision. So in making that decision, he must have indicated or see something that troubled him to some degree. That means that it is beyond just a normal situation of not giving him a complete document.
Could it be that you're simply throwing him under the bus and not trying to appease the public concern and anger?
But Mr. Chairman,
if he did that, he'd make a gross miscalculation because if everything could be proven.
For us to be speculating that a person who holds a highest rank among the political directorate, and for us to be speculating on the possibility of something is not fair. No, I can speculate.
As citizens, we have a right to question these things.
I can speculate that Puna is possible of committing murder. But why should I be going to the public and speculate that Puna can commit murder? Because he can. But why am I speculating that?
But you again, the argument makes no sense, man.
Mr. Chairman,
that argument makes no sense.
That is what I call a dialectical argument that makes a lot of good sense. To dismiss it as an argument that doesn't make sense is there lies the problem with us.
Because for you to introduce that Spooner might be guilty of murder and equate that with me suggesting the Prime Minister might be overreacting, it's not the same thing.
We cannot going about saying that.
What do you mean now?
I think Mr. Morrison, there's a possibility Mr. Morrison could commit rape. Why are you going to go and say that for Mr. Morrison for? Not because I want bad motor.
But that's not the same thing. Why you saying that I want badmouth the Prime Minister by suggesting that maybe he overreacted to public sentiment? Are you saying that to discredit? I'm trying to discredit the Prime Minister.
Yeah, but I am saying that when we speak from a position of a responsible person, we should not allow reckless speculation to be used.
Joe, you're mad, man. You're mad. You're not crow me down with that. You're not gonna crow me down with that. Please.
The only thing I wanted to say about that rape situation is
that's not true.
Only work if it's a willing participant.
No. You know what? I'm going there. You know, Spooner.
I'm just kind of Bodna fatigued, but the commissioner was just appointed. This happened under his watch. Apparently, it was said that no policemen were involved, and then we see a tape where these guys were policemen, and then we did see a policeman come out of the station and was told that it's police business and he had to leave and so on. Um, I have a feeling that the report that Rosado gave to the prime minister was probably not professionally done, was inadequate, and he felt that he had to give him leave of absence and bring in a new investigator. I don't know, and now I see things where they're saying this lady is not qualified really to do this job. I don't know her. They say she's a lawyer, whatever. I don't know. For me, as a citizen, private citizen out here, I want to know, for me, was it sanctioned, a sanctioned kidnapping, abduction by our government, by our minister of police, by the commissioner himself, or was it a rogue policeman that did it, or was it Guatemala that paid the rogue policeman to do it? Then from there, I can make my decision what we should go from there. But does this bring back Budna? Suppose we find out that it was a sanctioned by the government, by the police, that
Yeah,
Budna should be adopted and taken to Guatemala. Do we now have to bring him back? Do we have
no,
the?
no. You don't have that
That's the end of
option.
it. That's the end of it.
No,
To
it's
be
not the end
fair.
of it. You could go ahead and persecute your own people,
Yeah.
because then your people would be the one at fault. I am saying though, I listened to the commissioner when they were asking him the questions, and he said it is not a sanctioned. That's what he said. It's not a sanctioned move by the police. Are there police involved there? It wasn't the police who did it in an official capacity. That's basically what he was saying. I
You
don't
got the
think.
cards wrong. Sorry, go ahead. Go ahead. Sorry.
No.
Sorry.
I didn't get the I didn't get what everybody else is saying. That he said no, it definitely no police involved. Before even investigation, he said there's gonna be an investigation. It was not something that an official police directive to pick up Budna. That's basically what we're saying. I don't see that as saying, well, no, because as you said, there could have been some rogue police officers who, I mean, was tempted by some offer of bounty money that was given and decided, or it could be no, because if you remember, 2 days before, he had a very hostile interview with the prime minister himself.
Yes.
So, I mean, did the prime minister, somebody, the prime minister himself, or did somebody loyal to the prime minister say, you know what, boy, enough of this boy. We have to get rid of him one time
Do
and pick
you
up.
know, Joe? Do you know
That's what
Mr.
I think
Braseno
more
enough to
likely
say
happened.
that he'd be that petty?
I don't know.
Is he
I
known
don't.
to be that petty to do
I
something like that?
I
No,
don't know. He doesn't like me, so I don't. But I don't know if that's a pettiness.
I don't think that from what I'm sitting, the way I'm understanding things and kind of figure out police politics, I would not think that the prime minister himself, but the scenario you mentioned where somebody that supports the prime minister, that has power within the government, that could inform or pull police officers and get them to do a bidding. I think that's the possibility. That's the possibility I'm thinking that happened. I don't see it going all the way to the prime minister, but it could go. But that's not where I'm thinking this would be.
Maybe it could be the story like with Macbeth. Remember, it was, King Henry shouted out loud for
Who will
everybody
rid
to
me of
hear
this
that wish
covenant?
would somebody get rid of this man for me. And
Yeah,
then somebody
yeah,
took it literally and they killed Macbeth.
And
Remember?
that's kind of like what I had in mind. Yeah,
yeah,
I was
yeah, yeah.
suggesting. At the end of the day, though, I'm
Suggesting that this was a Macbeth type case.
Well,
you
it
see,
could be.
you can't hold your true thing out there now because
Oh,
somebody
yeah,
might grab that as you
that
saying that's true.
who will rid me of this turbulent person? And he got out
Yeah.
and behead one innocent man.
Yeah.
So are you suggesting that they went to behead the commissioner who is innocent? And that's what you're suggesting, Mr. Student.
Well, certainly Budna wasn't innocent.
It just came to my attention that it's a scenario like in the Shakespeare play Macbeth, you know? Somebody said, it could have been somebody could have heard Johnny the pound on the table and cabinet and Rask, why can't we just get rid of this Maria?
I
The frustration, but then somebody take it serious and remove her.
I'm to the point almost where you are,
Calculation.
Jeremy. I'm at
Yeah.
that point of fatigue. I'm just
Yeah.
tired of hearing about Butna. He's not that important.
Yeah.
I really don't think that one person that warrants this kind of attention.
You placed it on Budna, the
But you
individual.
cannot separate him
But
from this
you must
scenario.
separate it
What's your
from
kind, Mr.
law.
Chairman? That's what we are doing. We are
Yeah.
separating.
You're attempting to do it. You can't do it.
No, no. I think Mr. Morrison need to emphasize that point he's making. We are not, me personally, then, and I got the same feeling from Mr. Spooner and him. It's not Budna the person.
It's the process.
That's
It's
right.
a process.
And I asked this before in this
That's it,
program, what's more important, the process or the end result? That we
Let,
get what we need
let me
more.
give you let me give you a scenario that I could have dealt with and understand. Let's say the family of the young man that died in the shooting. Let's say that those individuals gathered together and had removed Mr. Budna and took him back to Guatemala, right? I could understand that. If they were caught, then they would face whatever consequence or Belize law would put on them for kidnapping and transporting him. That's their individual decision. But when an organ of the state, when our police officers
Exactly.
does this, that provides the threat to all of our sovereignty.
I don't think so.
And
I
it's a
don't. I don't think so. Because
blatant
all of us are not like Budna. All of us are not, and this is about Budna. All of us is not like Budna.
Yeah,
We are
but-
law-abiding citizens, and we have nothing to worry about. Now, here's a scenario that would have troubled me.
But
Here is what would have bothered me. Hold on, Joe.
Yeah,
What
sorry.
would have bothered me had Guatemalan officials come over and grab Budna and take him back over there. That would be the concern for me. I would be up in arms like everybody else with that.
Then you'd want him back?
Huh?
Then you'd want him back?
No, I wouldn't want him back, but I certainly object to that. I still don't want him back. But I don't
I
think.
think that what Mr. Morris said to me, make I repeat this here. If Budna had offended a member of my family, abuser, raper, and I decided, no, I want to become the vigilante.
Yeah.
I want to deal with them. So I want to kidnap and get onto the Guatemalans.
Yeah.
What Mr. Morrison is saying, that's understandable. You could live with that.
Yeah.
But then when it is done by those who are supposed to uphold the rule of law, that's different.
I
You cannot have vigilante type behavior. I think
I
that's what you were saying, Mr. Morrison.
and that's all right. That's all right because at the end of the day, those guys who abducted him are Belizeans, and they might be saying, it's our fellow Belizean that this man booger. And fellow Belizeans, he was involved in all this kind of craziness. So let us do this leaf favor, yeah, man. I don't know the people, but I think they deserve for got this boy behind bars. But listen, yeah, right. Anybody else want to find a word on the Budna thing? Because I done with that. Serious. 21st. Why did Judge Price pick 21st for independence? Was it something spiritual? Because the number 21 got some deep, significant meaning. Could that have been something? He was a little superstitious at the time. Was he superstitious, Joe?
He had a kind of affinity towards numbers.
I see.
Yeah, and he think about numbers, and some thought that 21st was a kind of a numerical type thing. But he said different to us. We did ask him about it.
I asked him one time personally, and he refused. He didn't answer me.
But he answered us. He did in the executive.
And he said what?
He told us when he came back that the timing had to do with the United Nations decision. And that was the best timing he had. And he said to me personally, when he asked me to support on an issue that I was reluctant to do, he said, Jose, let me tell you something. He said, when we went for that independence, you realized that there was no guarantee. We didn't have a guarantee. He said, I really took a chance. I said, because we got the guarantee after, which is true. So what he was telling me, the timing to get the independence was because of the United Nations session. And that is why he went for it then. That he took the risk that he will go for it without any guarantee. And the guarantee came after.
You got a fellow here that says something you might want to hear. It is acceptable for a talk show host to play the role of devil's advocate. However, G. Michael appears to be an apologist for the political leadership and those who have shown a clear tendency to undermine the proper interpretation of our rights as outlined in the Constitution. In this particular instance, regarding the police's involvement in Budna's abduction, Reid's argument is quite unfounded. While it is understandable to adopt a neutral stance, he has taken it to an extreme by whatever he doesn't. Apparently, there's a part two to that. Just because I don't agree with you, sir, don't mean that I'm taking any stance at all. And just because you don't agree with me does not mean that you are any apologist for anything. I am not. As a matter of fact, I believe that I'm contrary to that. I'm saying that I believe that if it was done, maybe there was a political directive, or maybe they're just throwing the commissioner under the bus.
Well, I have to come in here in defense of the chairman. Mr. Chairman, I'll be honest with you. I think that the guy probably said something that if it wasn't you, maybe there was truth to it. But knowing you, you are not that partisan type person. So I must defend you. I differ with you, of course. But I differ with you for different reasons. I don't know you to be the type of person who will just slavishly support a political party.
I will not.
I agree with him. I've seen you come again. I know you're puppy to your bone, but I've seen you come out and address issues that in the past would purely align with puppy. We talked about
Stoppage.
the $6.9 million for the land. We saw that you opposed that. So I don't think you're just strict party line. I don't know what your affinity is for this. You expressed some concerns to me with you feel like Budna is not entitled to his rights, and I think that's where you lean on it, that he's such a despicable individual and that's where I think aligns you with the position of the government. Well, I don't know if it's the government because right now it's all up whether the prime minister will make some clearer decision as to what happened. I'm kind of disappointed that they have not presented and allowed the videos of what had happened to actually be displayed. I don't think that compromised the whatever evidence or whatever case would be brought in the future. Just showing those videos of what occurred because that doesn't tarnish anything to know the facts and for the people to be informed on what's going on.
I can live with what people who disagree and think that I'm one or the other. I mean, really, I have no problem with it.
I think the guy who commented was saying something that I think is worthy of listening to. He was putting the emphasis on the importance of our country.
It's his opinion, and I don't got a
But
problem
that
with
part
that.
of it, I think you and all will agree with that. The only thing I am saying that I don't see you as a person
Paris.
who
But
sided.
I appreciate your vote of confidence.
Now, let me, Mr. Chairman, allow me then to shift the conversation with your permission, because I think that it is important, given the time left, to look at the issue of 1798, the Battle of St. George's Hill, which we celebrate on the 10th, and 1981, the date of our independence. And I want to just throw out a question, if you allow me to. 1981, evidently, was a period of where we got our constitutional decolonization, and there was supposed to have been a sense of nationalism and a sense of patriotism, and we were supposed to have been united. Now let's go back to 1798. What is it really that there was in 1798 in the sense of 230 white men who were baymen, British, 300 odd freed slaves, and 600 odd slaves? Evidently, the interest of the 230 odd white men was economic interest. They saw benefits of exploiting the resources of this part of Belize up to the Cebu, etc. And this is what motivated them to bring 1,600 odd slaves to this country to work for their economic interests. I believe this is also what motivated them to stand up to the Spaniards when they came to remove them. The question I will ask, What really then, if that group of 230, with support, of course, from the British, where they were, to come and support them,
From Jamaica,
what is the significance then of 1798 to our independence of 1981?
1779.
Question. 1798, repeat, it was for the benefit of some white men, perhaps with some of those who were free slaves, but at the expense of 1,600 and odd slaves to enhance their own enrichment. That is what they fought for. They didn't fight for no decolonization. They didn't fight for no nationalism. They didn't fight for patriotism.
Well, we weren't even a colony at that time, actually.
That's right. We were never declared a colony until when 1821, I think.
62, I
61.
believe.
1861. So the
It,
question I'm asking, and I'm being provocative in this because I will give you my answers, but that they put it out now. What's the significance of that 1798 that we celebrate on the 10th? Two, the fervor of patriotism and nationalism that supposed to have united us as a people in 1981. What's the significance?
well, the fact is, we're a country, no? We're here. I mean,
Now,
we
that's a fact.
exist.
That's what I'm saying. We supposed to be celebrating the 10th of September, and we celebrate both the September the 21st. The question is, what is the significance of the September the 10th?
September the 10th, the significance is that we fought a battle, and it's the last time the Spanish ever tried to push us out of the country, except, of course, for what is happening now with Guatemala, the suggestion that they're hostile to us, no? Last week, G. Mike catch with Dickie for his stance on the Budna kidnapping, and today he do the same thing. The other three guests have their ideas, and you shun them and close the topic. Be informed that this Bugna saga will never go away. Thus yet, so G Mike, that only you see otherwise. And if the only me, my brother, I see otherwise. And this is Herman Martinez. If the only me, the only me. But that's how I see it. And I beg your pardon. I'm sorry I'm not going to jump in with the herd and run because the herd is running. I will ask you, why want to run? I want to go into. Not just run. And that's what most Belizeans do right now, to run with the herd. This is the popular way to run, and we're going that way. I have no problem with going on the popular route if that is how I believe. And I believe that Bunna is where he deserves to be, in jail. Now,
What is Wagwan generals?
Wagwai General, you know, this King Panda. And King Panda must have this song. I mean, have no idea what they talk about.
I have no idea either.
Yeah. That, I mean, he just throw something up there, no?
Well, for me, Joe, the Battle of St. George's Key, which I think was in 1779, because I went yesterday to celebrate the day. To me, it started the country of Belize that led us to where we are today. It was a very significant. We first time
A beginning, yeah.
a beginning. We stood up. We finally said, you know what? We are stand up to this, and we're not going nowhere. And if you want to blame anybody, and you're talking about the possibility that the white man was looking out for his economic reward,
Being selfish.
be selfish. You better blame also the 14 from Flowers Bank, the free men, the free black men who came and made the change, because there was a lot of white people there that never want to fight. They may want to go, but those brave men from Flowers Bank.
Let me come to Joe's defense. I don't think he may mean it like that. But no, because at the end of the day, even if they were doing it for selfish reasons, we are here now benefiting from it. We're here.
We don't fight war except except it is for selfish reasons. That's the only reason we fight.
All right. Well, yeah,
So
yeah.
I have no problem. I have no problem with fighting it for selfish reasons, and whatever regard they fought it. Like you said, Mr. Chairman, we're here now. We are the Belizean people.
Yeah.
We are entitled to this land. Where I see the section with 1981, where we get our independence, is that, as Mr. Spooner said, we need to recognize that it all originates from the Battle of St. George's Key, and probably the year before, 1997, when
June 1st.
yes, when the Flowers Bank 14 made the decision to
Exactly.
come down and be part of the voting that brought us to the point where they decided that they were going to stand and fight. Some people decided to move on and not to, but then the majority ruled, and they fought, and they defended the settlement.
And what was pointed out yesterday, a lady called Deidre Gillett did some
Yes,
research.
yes,
And at the end of the day, when the vote was made, those who voted to evacuate the settlement, they took the vote and they agreed. They didn't, of course, they weren't voting for it, but they accepted it. And then the plans were made to defend, with everybody to defend the settlement.
It might be the last time we agreed on anything, and
Okay.
decided to fight for anything.
Can I
Because,
bring forward a position?
uh-huh.
In 1798, it was a fight to defend a geographical area that we now call Belize. Right? That was what it was for. And the British succeeded in repelling the Spaniards. Don't you think that when we started our national movement in 1950 for the constitutional decolonization of this country, that we went through a similar process that the British went through to repel the Spaniards? But our process then was to repel the British, to give us sovereignty over a country that we believe belonged to us. So I feel that when I look back at 1798, if those 1,600 and odd slaves were paddling those boats with a white man at the bow with a musket to repel the Spaniards, I think those 1,600 and odd slaves are to be our heroes.
of course.
Yeah, because it was they who fought alongside.
Yes.
So not a white man with the thing in the front. Not he.
Now, I'm not
No, no.
saying
I
that the
don't think. I don't think we were.
discredited.
Yeah, I don't think. I don't think the Battle of St. George's Key was never about the British themselves. I think
No,
it
it was
was
about the
always about
settlers.
the settlers.
Yeah.
And if we look at the history of Belize, most of the white people in Belize were at a reduced number, and most of them were very few of them were pure white people from United Kingdom or some other place. They were mostly
Well,
people from the bay that were mixed to some degree
well,
with.
the slave masters were initially all white, and it get
Yes,
diluted along the way, of course.
yes, yes,
But
yes,
they began with the pirates that were coming in. I believe those were
yes,
white people.
But what they were fighting for was economic interest.
yes.
And that's
They were
understandable
interest.
too, because
They
I
were
mean,
interest.
They
yeah,
were
yeah.
fighting because they saw the value of the natural resources here.
But
But
everybody fights
And
for that.
and
They fight
because they were removed,
for
they
your
were removed.
country and for your
Point
economic stuff.
out, I can't see if I will get back because maybe one of the mistake.
Let me just say that they were removed from Belize before, and they were sent to Cuba, and so this time they chose to stand and fight
Stand up, and
rather
rightly
than
so.
I
rather
think now a
than
tale of courage, and
yes,
even it was embellished along the way with some
yes,
fluff.
yes,
Then I could live with that. I
yes.
think that the fact that we stood and fight, I don't see why anybody would try to discredit that or
But
dismiss
there
it.
are people that
My
does it every
intention,
day,
my
and they're teaching
intention,
it in our
my
universities.
intention is
Yeah,
not. My intention is not to discredit it. My intention is to make us understand the significance of it in terms of our nationalism and patriotism. So if I go back to 1798, I have to recognize that those who fought was driven by a self-interest.
but what does that matter, Joe? Because we're here,
What I'm saying to you, Mr. Chairman, it was not about nationalism or
but
patriotism.
it is now though.
Yes, man, but the point I need to make, why is it important for us to support the 1798 battle for this country? I
Because
believe
they're
we should
British.
support it.
Yeah.
But I think we need to understand why we are supporting it. Me personally, see the Battle of St. George's Key the 10th as the day when this nation was conceived. And I see 1981 as the day when the nation was born.
Yeah.
Now, it was conceived in the midst of controversy and in the midst of self interest and economic benefits. But when the nation was born in 1981, it was born then out of nationalism and patriotism and independence from our country. But it could not have been if that wasn't a 1798.
Yeah. And
We
to
need to
add
know,
to what
we need to
to add,
understand why is it that we are sorry to interrupt, sir. We need
yeah.
to know why we are supporting it rather than just to jump up there and say things where I
Because
think
it's a
there's a
part
great
of history that God has created. That's why.
Yeah,
ah,
and it was born in like you said, Mr. Cole, in a part of distress because so many of the people in the country were enslaved. But nevertheless, they did their part to participate in the development and the freedom and the battle that brought us here to this point.
Should we teach it in our schools?
Definitely, it's a
Yes.
failure not to.
but not the way we were teaching it before.
I would have Dickie Bradley start the course.
Not Dickie. Dickie, not
I'm
Dickie.
not sure that Dickie is a 10th of September
Dickie is
guy.
No,
not
he's
on
not.
board at that
No, he's
time.
not.
He's
No,
a
he's not.
skeptic. He's a full skeptic.
I have a picture of Dickie Bradley's wet dream, and that's the Paslow building burning down. I call that Dickie's wet dream.
I got to know something
He
now.
mentioned that on this morning on the
My
on
personal
TV.
experience, I was mayor of the city.
You were where? Sorry, Joe.
I was the mayor of the city then.
Yes, uh-huh.
I think it was in 1997 it could have been.
I look
So
to look
that
up my
time,
files.
the 10th of September, evidently was not a PUP thing. So I am a PUP mayor. But the mayor addressed the celebrations at Memorial Park. And the majority of the people, the predominant majority, 80-90%, were all UDPs because we had UDPs then, not NIP. They were UDPs. And I got the mayor, one PUP mayor, where we address. I know what I did. I wrote that speech the day before. And I get a good friend of mine to look at it. I said, you know what I want to do tomorrow? I'm going to bring this nation together. And I went to that rostrum and I spoke about the date of when this nation was conceived. And I gave credit to the Battle of St. Jarvis Key. And I showed them how. And 1981, out of that conception came a birth. And it's in that birth that we were united for our common cause. And we were united for nationalism and patriotism. And I am telling you this, Mr. Spooner and gentlemen. It was because of that speech I gave why I defeated SKB in 1998. The UDP supported me. They did. Because I wanted to bring us together. And that is what these celebrations must be about. They must not be about PUP and UDP. It must be about our nationalism and our patriotism to this country, not to no political party. The party is there to serve this country, not this country to be serving no political party. And I'm strong about those beliefs. So when I saw yesterday, at 10th of September, I was a little bit distraught. Somehow because I felt that we still want to see as a UDP and IP thing, but we should not. Yes, the Minister of Francis Fonseca, who had the committee, gave a speech, and the deputy mayor, the deputy mayor, and the mayor was here, gave a speech. But somehow to me, I still don't think that we connect with them. We still want partisan politics to transcend our nationalism and our patriotism. Our
Was
love must be for this country, my brother.
But Mr.
What-
Mr. Cohen, within the People's United Party, I must point out, there are lots of people that deny the 10th of September. And I can't, for the dickens of me, figure out where that is coming from, when in fact they have the same history, the same facts that we do. And so I cannot figure out what the agenda is.
They're PUPs. They're simple. They're PUPs and then they run with a herd. That herd is running and they're running with that herd. They're PUPs. That are the popular opinion of the PUPs, and that was made known a long time ago. I don't. Was there a
But
PUP
as Mr.
part of the
Cohen said,
parade?
at one point, PUP was part of the national.
Well, there used to be
Yeah,
a
before
PUP and a
independence.
UDP parade. There were two
Yeah, before
parades, as far as I
independence.
remember.
That's right. Two parades.
Two
And
parades, a PUP and a UDP, and they used to judge which was bigger.
that's right. And the PUP was always bigger. And
And there,
The PUP never called September the 10th, September the 10th. They call it National Day because they were trying to promote nationalism. And that is why it had the big crowd. Of course, the city was predominantly PUP, and the
Mhm.
country was then. But the point I'm making, all those things were divisive,
Yes.
as we were in 1798 between the slaves and the white man and whatnot. But I thought that in 1981 was supposed to bring us together, bind by our nationalistic fervor and our love and devotion to the fatherland or motherland. That's what yesterday should have been about our PUP and UDP. And the 21st should be the same thing. Get rid of this idea about what George Price been doing on this one. I give credit to Price in the drive towards independence. And I have some differences with those who was opposing it. But I am saying that is a past now. Put that behind us. And let the 10th be the day when this nation was conceived. Without conception, there would have been no birth on September the 21st. So the
Yes.
two of them are of great importance to this country and its people.
I think the challenge that we're faced with now is how do we unite this country and get everybody to look at who are here as Belizeans and not as black Belizeans, Spanish Belizean, white Belizean, Mennonite Belizean, Belizeans. Because a small country like Belize, if we are not united, we're not going to stand. And we have to stand united if we expect to repel what many people look like they're even hoping for is some confrontation with Guatemala. I don't know how
Mhm.
that's going to work out, though.
No,
I
I
tell you
don't
that.
think because we cannot win a confrontation with Guatemala.
I don't know that we understand that because many of us are rattling sabers and shaking with fish in the face. And
No,
I don't think it makes much sense. We have to at least start now and realize that we are neighbors and there's a huge market across that border for anything that we can produce. We can trade, we can move ahead. We need to try to seek peace with it instead of war. We cannot, you admit, we cannot win the war.
we cannot win a war, but I don't think we are the aggressor in any instances with Guatemala.
Boy,
I think
we seem to be antagonizing.
no, I think they're the antagonistic one when they come into our waters, run on our reef, block us from our source tools.
Boy,
I think
did
Wasn't
you?
there? You all are just. I saw a post on Facebook last night when I came back from St. George's Key, but I didn't watch the news tonight, so I don't know how true it is. But wasn't there a boat from Guatemala military came over to the island,
I saw
Cartoon
some of
Island,
that.
and put the
Yeah,
Guatemalan flag up?
yeah, yeah.
that I saw something to that effect, and something like that we need to object to. And this is where we go back to the way to do that, though, diplomatically. And our people apparently have has addressed it. You could believe them or not, but that is the way we can do it. We have to try. And I've always said, even to like Will Mejia, and then because supposedly went up the Star soon again this weekend. I'm saying when you meet them Guatemalans, often they only drink a water, man. They're people just like us. Make we try talk this thing out and move forward
A
without
Belican bear, a
a
Belican bear.
Pelican bear. You know what I'm saying?
Why? We know you're gonna check tomorrow from boy, boy.
You get a free delivery.
I
But
just
you
I,
Let me ask you something.
I give up on that one.
when I get that check, I'll get something to see smoke.
We,
No.
I always look at the 10th of September growing up. It was a Creole parade, the 10th of September parade.
Yeah.
Now that we have, now that the Creole population is a minority now, and we've got, I think it's over 50% of our population is Latin. What do you think that effect will have on the celebrations of 10th of September? Because we were fighting them.
No,
I
Right.
we
don't
were
think
fighting them. We were not fighting them. The Spaniard, the Latin people that are in Belize are not. They're
Indigenous
indigenous
people.
people.
Indigenous.
They're not Spaniards. We weren't fighting them. They were under as much pressure and slavery and entanglement as the Creole and African people were. The Spaniards were killing them. that's why they came. A majority of them came to Belize in the
The
early
caste
part,
war,
in
yes,
the
I know
past
that.
war,
Yeah.
and that's why they continue to come. Many Mayans
The
into Belize.
irony is that they came under the sanctuary of the British that were here.
That's
The
correct.
British
That's
allowed
correct.
them to come in,
That's
just like
correct.
the Garifuna. They were
Yes.
allowed to come in.
Yes.
Superintendent Cod,
Yes.
Deputy Superintendent Cod,
So I
Bonki's great grandfather allowed the Garifuna to come to Belize, gave them
yeah,
sanctuary here.
yeah.
I don't
So
know if you all know that,
I
but
think it's some mischaracterization when people think that the Battle of St. George's Key was against the Latin people in Belize. They nowhere equate to what the
so all
feeling.
those sailors on the ships that came to Belize from Mexico from I think his name he was an Irishman who ruled the
Neil.
military. Yes,
Anil,
that man.
Anil.
Yeah.
O'Neill. So what did
Yeah.
I say? Okay, O'Neill. Yeah.
Neil.
Were those Spaniards from Spain,
Yes, those
or
are
Yes.
Spaniards from Spain.
was it mixed with
There might have
mestizos?
been some indigenous people under the command, just as how some of the black
Right.
people and
Right.
Africans from Belize was part of the
Yeah, but
defense.
you know the caste war
Mhm.
was a problem between the Maya and the
Yes,
mestizo
yes,
because the Maya wanted to declare the Quintana Roo as their
yes,
country,
yes,
and the
yes.
mestizo
But
didn't want that. They wanted their land and so on, and there was a war for so many years between the
a
two
hundred
groups,
years,
and
a
a
hundred years.
lot of them came to Belize for sanctuary. Yeah.
Yes, yes.
You know what I'd like to see? As a more celebration of our ethnicities. I'd like to see a Chinese dragon in at the parade. I'd like to see the
Mm-hmm,
Mennonites with
mm-hmm,
some
mm-hmm.
part of their culture in there,
Yes.
and just a more cultural thing.
I
Uh,
think. Go
uh,
ahead. Go ahead.
no, no, no. But that's it. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm thinking if we could, like Mr. Corey said, remove the politics from it and make it a national celebration that we could all embrace, we'd be able to entice those different
Yeah. Yeah.
segments.
The
Because
cel-
right now they don't want to be aligned too much with the political issues, but I think if it becomes a national celebration, if somehow we could organize a 10th of September.
Well, we have a
Group
September celebrations crew. We have a body
No,
dedicated to that.
it still has its political, whichever political parties in it kind of put a little favor on it that kind of destroy that true grassroots coming together of all the people. And so I'm hoping that at some point we could bring that about and
Uh,
drop the politics from it.
I think that
maybe this is something where our diaspora could be involved in, since they are removed from the situation. Um,
I
no,
think we do that.
Right.
We do that in a way here because we have a celebration of like the Queen of the Day, and all type of people come in, and I don't see it having a political flavor in when we select our Queen of the Day in each of the different cities. And I'm noticing now that more and more young ladies of lots of different ethnicity, Hispanic and different, are participating in that program locally.
a young lady won this year's Queen of the
Yes,
Day. I think,
yes,
didn't
that I
she?
mean.
She might.
Yeah.
Wasn't that a Latin lady
Oh,
in
that,
Spanish?
oh
I
yeah. This year Latin lady one,
Yeah.
But
She had well, she had a Spanish surname, but
Yes, she is.
I see a move towards a kind of depoliticization, if I could call it such, of the celebrations. For example, we have come to accept that whosoever happens to be in government at the time, that they will be responsible to organize the celebration, the September celebrations,
Yes,
and they would appoint a member of the cabinet. This year it was Francis Fonseca. So he speaks because he was head of the celebrations committee.
I think he was last year too.
Yes, because whosoever party in government,
Yes,
it is that person.
plus
Then,
his minister of culture, I believe, also, right?
yeah,
probably.
and for
Yeah,
that reason, maybe too, why they made it.
yeah.
Then they had the mayor, who
Mhm.
by again happens to be PUP. But he was not there by virtue of being PUP. He was there because he was the mayor.
Yes,
The mayor. And the minister was there not by virtue of being PUP, but because he headed the September celebration. But look at
yes,
it. much of the events, particularly the Queen of the Bay, which is a big event, did lead up to the September celebration, but it is run by more who would have believed that be UDPs. So I sense a coming together of us. So I don't think there are devices that used to be. Now, what I don't want to see is that we begin to take the tent and we give it the tone and we give it one sense of celebration that is depicting the importance of the battle.
Yes.
And then when September the 21st comes, we do again a celebration that is depicting our nationalism and our patriotism as one people.
Yes.
The 21st will still be schools parading, no?
Yeah, the uniform.
Yeah, I wish they could liven it up a bit more. I must say, I find it very boring.
They just
seeing-
walk through the streets, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're
Uh,
not
The
even
school have
allowed
always
to.
done that. The school have always been follow a certain decorum, and that's okay, I think.
Okay.
A uniform, a more uniform parade
Mhm.
with the schools, of course, in it.
Yeah, yeah.
But
Yeah, but
do we have a?
military help, you know,
Is there a military
thing-
parade? Do we have enough of a military to have a parade? I know the fire.
The military is involved in the 21st.
Okay, so a uniform parade all around.
That's why they call it
I
a
see.
uniform parade with the schools.
I see. Now, gentlemen, one thing what we missed at the shooting of this guy Kirk.
Yes.
Will it affect the
Yep.
smooth
That is,
running? Will it upset the whole other things at some point? Are there repercussions? What do you think?
Well, like your Bale Budna, this is a test on due process. Well, with the American guy Charlie, it's a test on freedom of speech. People don't agree with what he says and so on, so they kill him.
Is that acceptable? I mean, are you
No,
gonna?
that's
No,
not
that's not
acceptable at
acceptable.
all.
It's not
Yeah.
acceptable.
And this is one case where I find most people are agreeing
Yeah.
that while he was a despicable individual from many accounts, that in fact he has a right to speak his
He does.
mind. And
Yes.
even if you disagree with him, and I like Bernie Sanders' take on it. We disagree, let's argue it out. This is how civilized people do it. You tell me why you don't agree with what I'm saying. You tell me why you're saying what you're saying, and let us see if we can come to some kind of consensus or a reasonable agreement.
I'll be quite honest with you, G Mike. I never knew he did a podcast, and all of a sudden on Facebook, I started getting these posts of him debating with students, either in England at the universities in England or universities in Belize. And I never saw anything in those where he was a racist, he hated women, blah, 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 blah. But now I see posts coming up of his opinion, all
No,
these
he-
other
certain statements
No,
that he made, yeah.
yeah, you
No,
know.
he
So,
was a racist.
but I found not in the
He was a
debates that I
racist.
saw it that were posted. I never saw him being a
He was a
racist.
racist. He was a
I found his debates quite interesting. I found them very
Trump
interesting.
was a racist. He was
He
a
was a
strong
racist.
supporter of the Proud Boys, the Ku Klux Klan, and all of them. No, saying that he was very ultra conservative, big MAGA supporter, big supporter of Trump. He was in fact a racist, but despite of all that, I don't think he should have been killed for having.
Okay, explain why was he a racist? What did he do? He wanted to kill black people.
Because he was a supporter of the Proud Boys who were racist. He's a
And
supporter.
he said one of the statements were, if I get on the plane and I sit on a black pilot, I want to be sure that he's qualified.
And he made some serious.
He made some statements that weren't.
You know what they talk about? You know what he talk about Martin Luther King?
Yeah, yeah.
The despicable way he spoke about Martin Luther King. No man, he was racist.
So, all right.
See, I never saw any of those on the. Now they're showing it. Now they're showing it.
You know who want him? You know who?
You know where one lawyer may tell the judge. He said, "I've never seen a case like this before." They try to show why he shouldn't bring the case before the court. He said, "Well, if there wasn't one before, let this be the first one."
Yeah.
So if you never hear say it before, that don't mean he never say it. He say it.
No, I'm not denying that at all. I'm
You
not
know,
denying that at
you
all.
know
I just never saw those
You
of
come
him.
with one least suck away.
Yeah.
I don't say that because you're one white man, you say it, because you're one good white man. I want to tell you that on this show. You're one of the best.
is there such a thing now, oxymoron?
Boy,
It just triggers my my
boy,
thoughts.
I want to tell you the truth, brother Spooner. You are nothing like the other people.
But listen,
That
and
man, that man, you know, I want to tell you why. He have my sympathy, he have my everything. They should have never shot him. But be careful of how you
But you
disposing.
have to be now. You're gonna have to be now.
yeah, but you can't be afraid, man. And
No,
I think
no, I don't think people
I
afraid that.
see you see some of the statements where people make to try to intimidate you and get you afraid.
Yeah.
Once you believe in God and you think that what you're doing is coming from the heart and something good,
Yeah, but
I don't think we got nothing to worry about.
Chairman, how can I be believing in God? And I am getting up there and speaking such a demeaning
No,
way.
but I'm not. I didn't say nothing about that. I'm not talking about him.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the guy.
No. I'm saying, and you were talking about that people should be afraid to speak out because somebody might hurt them.
No, no, no.
We can't do that. We have to be
You
fearless.
should not be intimidated by speaking out when it is evidently in the interest of humanity. But when you begin to speak out the way those Nazis used to talk out, and the way how this guy was talking
Or
out,
how the Israelis are speaking now.
that's right. You better be careful. I would not be speaking like them because somebody will come for you.
You know who is starting to impress me that I wasn't sure about first? Tucker Carlson. He had an interview with Piers
Yeah.
Morgan. You need to catch
He has
that.
changed. Tucker Carlson
He-
has changed his ways. I'm getting a little bit interested in.
Yes,
looking
and there was
at
a time when he was just despicable also. But man, the things he's saying now, and in fact, today was the anniversary of 9/11, right?
Yeah.
And he was the man. He was casting some doubts on it, and was suggesting that there's some things about it that doesn't make sense, and was suggesting that maybe the U.S. was doing it to just drum up support for their move against Iraq. Now there's a lot of speculation.
Situations and
Yeah.
but Mr. Chairman, could you allow me to ask you something before we go off?
Uh-huh.
Yesterday, he said that he was in St. George's Key. Is that so?
Spooner,
Well, just say that again.
he's blocking you out.
Yesterday, you were at St. George's Key.
Yes, I was. Yes.
Why tell us quickly because that was a celebration. You have the Bally Soul, right?
Yes. Yeah. Johnny Watt Searle. Yeah. He's like the president.
Yes, man, and he had some very good things to say about the history.
Yes.
I heard him before because one time they used to take the event, the official celebration to the opening of the September celebration at St. George's Key.
Yes. Yes,
So I
they
just
did.
wanted to quickly give you one synopsis of what it was like yesterday. If you don't
Well,
mind.
what they did is they had the Coast Guard out there. What they do is they have the ceremony at the graveyard. They've managed to they've never been able to save any of the old cemetery, the headstones and the grave sites. But what they do have is they have memorial plaques for certain people there from way back then, and up to today, the residents of the queue who want to be buried out there. So the ceremony starts with the Coast Guard being out there, and they raise the flag, and then different people would read different speeches. We had Lin Young, who was out there, who gave a history of the key, and Johnny Watt gave a history of the key. This lady called Deetra Gillett, she gave a very interesting history of the key, and mentioned that about the slaves, about the Mosquito Indians, and all of that who helped in this whole process of the Battle of St. George's Key. That down in Belize City, they could hear the cannons going off and seeing the flashes going off at around St. George's Key and so on, which I've never heard before. But I'm asking her if I could get a copy of that, and once I find that, I can give you that. But it was a very informal celebration, and they played the national anthem. We all sang it. They had a young girl out there with a violin, and then they had different people say different things about the key. Mary Beth Maestri, she read the national prayer, and it was just giving a history, and they mentioned all the people who lived on St. George's Key from way back then to present, and then people would stand up and give stories about the key and so on. And then afterwards, everybody was invited next door to the Searle property, and they had food. And so we all got tamales, sandwiches, meat
That
pies,
sounds like,
beer.
the kind of thing we should have one gotta believe it.
Well, hopefully my boat will be ready by then, I can take you and G-Mike out there, you know?
Yeah, about this boat.
I know. And if they're not fixed with boat, they say 4 weeks to part and come.
This boat,
Yeah.
while
So
cano.
mention their name. If they're not giving me part by 4 weeks time, I'm going to
Well,
blast it.
Gentlemen,
Well, the same boat from the battery, you got?
we're out of time. That's it. Anybody got any final words?
The world. I
Row,
will
row.
stand at the front of the boat and we're not row me in.
Well, Michael rowed the boat. That show. Hey, people.
Good night.
Peace.
Yeah.
Peace in Palestine. Next week. Every time. Come on.
Greedy the roots, did the
Why?
roots, did the roots. Choco pine card. Greedy the roots, did the roots, did the roots, did the roots. Greedy the roots, did the roots, did the roots. Boy, wicked.
Ricky.
I tell you, Choco Pint, you have to drink the roots tonically, the man drink it like water. But you don't really know the formula.
Greedy the roots, did the roots, did the roots, did the roots. Greedy the roots, did the roots, did the roots. Choco pine card. Greedy the roots, did the roots, did the roots, did the roots. Greedy the roots, did the roots, did the roots. Me hear the man ball when him catch a roll. Me hear the man scream, tongue in a sorrow. Never want to one in both the roots from Miss Larrow. The rainy white ball, he could have back up sing off his sparrow. The roots that he could keep up, them we yo. Talawala, pala de umbre, sassy brilla, so summa, piss a bed and ginger. I love scrabble, fine back and bitter wood. But the main ingredient, are the one Miss Larrow invent. And if you see a man back bent, it just left Miss Larrow tent. Greedy the roots, did the roots, did the roots, did the roots. Greedy the roots, did the roots, did the roots. Choco pine card. Greedy the roots, did the roots, did the roots, did the roots. Greedy the roots, did the roots, did the roots. They get a boy to pay with himself back up Bethel. He said he could hear voices coming from hell. One of the vice tell him to snatch up the girl named Gretel. Now he a big bowl of the bally in a one jail cell. The rules that he come cheap up, then we yo. Talawala, pada de umbre, sassy villa, so summa, piss a bed and ginger. And love scrabble, pine back and bitter wood. Sarah say, and just a touch of sinner. But the main ingredient, and the one Miss Larrow invent. And if you see a man back bent, he just left Miss Larrow tell to. Greedy the roots, did the roots, did the roots, did the roots. Greedy the roots, did the roots, did the roots. Choco pine card. Greedy the roots, did the roots, did the roots, did the roots. Greedy the roots, did the roots, did the roots. You could have tell you from the own experience. We start out in September 1st, getting ready for the 10th. The feeling that come over me was so intense. Me take off all of my clothes and jumps and wrap back fence. Greedy the roots, did the roots, did the roots, did the roots. Greedy the roots, did the roots, did the roots. Choco pine card. Greedy the roots, did the roots, did the roots, did the roots. Greedy the roots, did the roots, did the roots. Boy, wicked.